Welcome to another episode of the Alcohol-Free Lifestyle Podcast. And today we're talking to Ian McSweeney, who is a 47-year-old chartered accountant and finance director of a hotel management company in Dublin, Ireland. He's married with two kids, aged 5 and 6, and incredibly, he lost 28 pounds in just 90 days of being alcohol-free. If you're listening in the UK, that's 2 stone. If you're in Australia or elsewhere that uses kilograms, it's about 15 kilograms. That is a huge amount of weight. And he wasn't really, he didn't look that big to begin with. So simply removing alcohol has led to him losing 28 pounds in 90 days. It almost doesn't sound real. In this conversation, we're going to be talking about how he increased his productivity and decreased the time that he needed to increase that productivity. Ian talks about the clarity that he received in these last 90 days, helping him to move towards semi-retirement. He talks about how his marriage to his wife changed over the last 90 days and his relationship with his kids, 5 and 6. And his friends apparently tell him that he's smiling all the time as well. So he's going to tell you a little bit about how he lost the weight, what little things he did as well to lose that weight. But the main thing was just not drinking alcohol. It was just a couple of little things. And how he managed to eat chocolate. He still ate chocolate during the 90 days and still lost all of this weight. It's pretty incredible. You'll hear us talk a little bit about the Positive Shift Journal. Now, the Positive Shift Journal is a journal that I created with my partner, Juliana. You can check it out at positiveshiftjournal.com. And there is a link in the show notes as well. I have my clients inside of the Quit Drinking program, Project 90, write down what we call the Daily 20, which is 20 things that you're grateful for each and every day. And then I've produced that into a book or a journal, I should say, called Positive Shift Journal. And you'll hear Ian talk about how impactful that was during his 90 days inside of the Project 90 experience. Ian's a very interesting guy. He used to live in my home country of Australia. He used to manage bars and restaurants around alcohol. And you'll hear him talk about how he has tried to reduce or quit alcohol for the past 21 years, I think it is, and how he's managed to finally break the curse, so to speak. And now he's alcohol-free and moving forward with his life. Not to mention he's now conversing with his friends and joking about being alcohol-free. Whereas in the beginning, he felt some apprehension about that. A lot of my readers and clients feel that apprehension about what their friends, their lifelong friends, are going to say if they quit drinking. So Ian will talk a little bit about that. Just a reminder, if you don't get my daily emails and you would like to, you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. There's a link in the show description section as well. And if you would like to be considered for Project 90, if you are ready to quit drinking for at least 90 days with a view to getting long-term power over alcohol, whether that means quitting forever or it means quitting for at least 90 days and then possibly doing some moderation or just drinking on occasion, then you are welcome to have an exploratory conversation with my coaching team. Ian, who you're just about to hear from, was in the same position as you, listening to a podcast episode, and decided to reach out, have a conversation. He joined us in Project 90, and now he is absolutely flying, loving life, smiling all the time, he says. If you'd like to do that, then you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule, and you can book a call with one of my coaching team. There's also a link in the show notes. All right, let's get into it. How did Ian lose 28 pounds in 90 days, and how did he increase his productivity by 25% in 33% less time? Let's find out. Here he is, Ian McSweeney. Ian, you didn't really lose 28 pounds, which is 2 stone in the UK or 15 kilograms in Australia and elsewhere in 90 days, did you?
I certainly did. And James, I did that without much effort, believe it or not. Now, I did start going to the gym after week 3 or week 4, but I'm still eating pizza with the kids and still, when we got, like we all do, when we get the sugar cravings after a couple of weeks, like my solution to that was to eat chocolate. So it wasn't through huge means. It's just, it fell off me.
28 pounds is huge, though. I mean, what were you doing 28 pounds heavier than what you are now in the first place?
And yeah, like that's it. I'm not really that like I'm under 12 stone now, which is about 75 kilos. So I didn't really have, I was carrying a little bit of extra weight, but it amazed me, and it amazes everybody else that sees me as well. It's their first comment, particularly if I haven't seen them in a while.
What do they say?
They say, "Jesus, you're after losing a whole load of weight." And actually, it's a great segue because usually, it's how did you do that, and that gives me an opportunity to go on the to get the hand in first. I can just spit out, I stopped drinking, and then of course it's very hard for them to criticize me for not drinking, considering that they've just complimented me in the first place.
And what else has that done for your health?
Well, my stamina has just shot up. I'd be fairly tired after a day's work, whereas now, I spring home and I'm ready to play with the kids for a couple of hours or do, whatever. And cycling, I do a little bit of cycling. Not anything too intense, but I like cycling sort of uphill, and that's completely noticeable. Like when I get up to the peak, whereas I used to be, out of breath and have to stop and try to drink water and get myself back together again before going down the hill. Now it's pretty much a case of getting up, turning around, and bombing back down the hill again, feeling good. It's just noticeable from the moment I get up to the moment I go to bed, really.
So just to be clear, the only real, I guess the most significant thing you did in these past 90 days that has created these results is simply stopped drinking alcohol. Is that correct? I mean, it sounds like you've done a little bit more exercise and maybe you've been happier, but is it fundamentally the only thing that you did was stop drinking alcohol, and you shred 28 pounds and have more energy and are playing with your kids and all of these other benefits? Is that it?
Pretty much. But the only thing that I consciously did was stop drinking on day one. And then everything else just came in behind. Like, let's put it this way, because I'm not drinking, it means that I'm not having as many curries at midnight, or, I'm not having fish and chips on the walk home from the pub. But that just happens organically, if you want. Like I said, I did go to the gym, but that was just because I felt like going to the gym. It wasn't a big crusade I was on. The only crusade that I was on was to stop drinking, and then everything else just happened as it does.
Yeah, that's what always happens, isn't it? Because your only intention was stop drinking alcohol, and what happened was a cascade of healthy habits came into your life, or the removal of many other bad habits took place.
Yeah.
You just said it, right? Like because you weren't drinking, you weren't walking home from the pub late at night, going in and getting a curry. You weren't ordering fish and chips. So because you were alcohol free, it just removed the temptation of curries and fish and chips.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. All of those nasties that go with alcohol disappear. And most people who drink are hard workers. Now, that I'm not necessarily saying that hard workers in their job or anything, but like drinking is hard work because you're putting in a lot of time drinking, and then you have to deal with a hangover the next day and hold down a job or hold down a family. Like that's all difficult. So when you stop drinking, you've got more time on your hands, and you're used to always struggling at something. So now you're feeling good, you're not struggling, you have all this time in your hands, and you're used to being busy, or you're used to doing something. So it's just natural that positive things will come in to replace and to fill that time and to close up the hole that's been left behind after drinking.
Tell me a little bit about your profession. You're a chartered accountant and you're a finance director of a hotel management company. You're married with 2 kids. But tell me a little bit about your profession and what was going on with your profession during your drinking days and what you noticed shifted being alcohol free.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm just going to take you back to my 20s. When I left college, I was a barman during college. That sort of paid my way through college, and then I went over to Australia, to Sydney, for the 1 year, as a lot of us do after college, and ended up managing an Irish bar over there for a few years. Then came back to Ireland and just stayed in the bar management, restaurant management, hotel management field. So, there was always a bit of an exposure to alcohol there. I had an accident where I broke my leg and couldn't sort of pivot and swing around in bars. So I went back and retrained as a chartered accountant. So that was in my 30s, and then got a job in a hotel management company as an accountant. And my past helped me out there because I had the sort of operational experience and finance experience. So I sort of climbed the ladder quite well there, and got to a situation where I was guiding a team of other accountants and out inspecting hotels around the country with the other directors of the company, which was fine. I'm blessed that I have some really, really good people on my team, probably a lot stronger technically than I am in accountancy and reporting and all that type of thing. But the whole exposure to alcohol and the going to a hotel, inspecting it, meeting the team, staying in the hotel that night, that always ended up in the restaurant, and you got to sample this wine and you got to sample that wine and you got to do all that, which was fine. Like I was able to drink the wine at night time and maybe have a glass or two then when I went back up to the room as well, and wake up the next day groggy, but still able to do the job. I was able to get through the day without any criticism, and I was able to get it done. But since stopping drinking, every hour, every half hour, every minute that I spend in work is just far more productive because I'm just seeing things clearer. Like something that I might have sat down and done for 3 hours, like a proposal or a spreadsheet or an analysis, I now know that I can see straight away that there's somebody in the team that can do that in 2 hours or 1 hour. So they'll do that, and I'll do something else that mightn't be as, you mightn't see the tangible results at the end of it, but it might be more strategic, whether that's, out meeting a client or a potential client or developing a relationship here or spotting a bit of talent there. So, and apologies if anybody in my organization hears this, don't misinterpret it when I say that I'm not working as hard, but getting much better results. And then that goes back to freeing up time to doing things that, I want to do outside of work. When you're producing more in less time, you don't have to feel guilty about spending the extra couple of hours with the family or on the bike or going to the gym or following a recipe, cooking a meal, just doing all those life things that are enjoyable, that we should be doing.
Yeah, amazing. How much more do you feel you are producing in less time?
Way more.
Can you quantify it at all? Is it like 20% more, 50% more, double? Is it 40? What's your best educated guess?
I would say if you take the week as the 40-hour week.
Yes.
I'm working a 40-hour week and I'm spitting out a lot more. I'm spitting out probably, best guess, 25% more in the 40-hour week than I would have been producing in a 60-hour week.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So you've increased productivity 25% and you've decreased your hours by 33%.
Yeah, pretty much.
with 60 hours and you've gone back to 40.
Yeah. 55, 60 hours back to 40 easily. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, great. So increased productivity by 25%, reduced your time 33%, let's say, roughly.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, what do you think could be the long-term ramifications or benefits from that? If you now do that consistently over the next 12 months, how do we then quantify that?
If that keeps going, and I'm laughing when I'm thinking to myself, but I like thinking about the future. And actually, that's another great benefit. When I'm thinking about the future, it's a lot rosier, and when I'm doing it with a clear head. But technically, I could, in my 40s, look at a situation where I'm in semi-retirement, and that could well happen to my board directors. They're approaching 60, and I know 5 or 6 years ago they said that when they hit their 60s that they'd want to go out on the golf course. So it could potentially be a situation where the company scales down, or something shifts. But I'm comfortable now that with the way I'm working, that I could scale down with it, still be able to provide financially, still be able to maintain a comfortable lifestyle that I have, by being in semi-retirement, which is absolutely incredible. And even though that potential probably was there 6 months ago or a year ago, I wouldn't have seen it. I couldn't have realized it. And in fact, the whole thought about having to scale down might have scared me a little bit, because I couldn't see the wood from the trees. But now, so that said, if that did happen, and if it did scale down, that time would be replaced with other things. Like I'm quite commercially minded, so I do a little bit of work for Chartered Accountants Ireland, and I might do a bit more of that. I've joined a charity board, so I'd love to get more involved in that. They help school kids over in the third world. So it's just great knowing that there's optionality. I think it probably sums it up in one word.
So you're pondering semi-retirement by producing 25% more in 33% less time. I love it.
There you go. Yeah.
And you're 28 pounds lighter than when you started with this 90-something days ago. Yeah, it almost seems unbelievable, doesn't it? It almost seems like it's an exaggeration, like we're putting mayonnaise on this story.
It does. It honestly does. And in such a small period of time, like in 90 days, the transformation is incredible. And there's proof there that there isn't mayonnaise on it. I started doing the Marco Polos from day one, and I went back and had a look at myself.
Just to be clear, just for the listener, sorry to interrupt you. Just to be clear for the listener, when Ian is talking about doing a Marco Polo, in Project 90, which is the experience and program that Ian just completed, we have our clients do little video selfies and share it in this little app that's named Marco Polo, and that way people can visually see other clients, and it creates a great community, and people hold one another accountable. So when Ian's referring to recording a Marco Polo, what he's referring to is he recorded a little video selfie on day 1 or day 2, and then on day 27 and day 90. And it seems like he's just about to share with us how he's tracking his progress. So continue, Ian. Just wanted to give that context for our listener who maybe didn't understand what you meant by Marco Polo.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can scroll back. So every video message is referred to as a polo. So you can scroll back to, I think you can scroll back indefinitely. But anyway, I can go back 90 days, and just looking at myself saying, "Hi, I'm Ian, and I've just joined P90. I'm looking forward to meeting you all on the calls." I just look like a different person. It's there, and I'll go, "Jesus, that was me! Oh my God!" I'm not joking. I look at least 5 years younger, and I'm allowed to say that because so many people have said it to me. So I'm not being in any way modest. But I do. I look 5 years younger. My face was bloated, which I didn't actually realize at the time, and that's gone. And even just my, like, I was more red in the face. You could see that. You could just see that my body was sort of struggling a little bit. So it's a complete shift, and the proof is there. You know.
Yeah.
Just while we're talking about polos, James, that's. And I'm sure you've heard it before, but that is such a great tool and such a resource. Like, for me, that was the glue that just held everything together. Anytime that I was, feeling in any way challenged, particularly at the start where I needed a bit of support and was in between calls, it's great. You just open up the polos, and all these people that I consider to be my friends now, and these are the other clients on the program. They're just giving their 1, 2, 3 minute little snippet of where they are, what they're doing, how they're feeling, and it's not always rosy. Sometimes it is rosy, and then if somebody's having a challenging day, they'll also put it out there, and then other people come in and give their support, and you get something from every little polo, whether it's advice from somebody who's a little bit ahead in the program, or an opportunity to give advice to somebody who's joined after you. And it just builds up such a wonderful, supportive community. It really, really is a great tool. It really is.
Yeah, I've always said that transformations do not happen in isolation. And so that tool that we're just referencing now is something that I brought into the group about 18 months ago to really foster an engaged community. Because if you're listening to me right now, and maybe you can attest to this, Ian, you try to do something by yourself without accountability, without community, it's very challenging. It's incredibly challenging, and the success rate is very, very low. As soon as you add what I call the alcohol freedom formula, and the formula that I've come up with is coaching plus accountability plus community plus fun plus skin in the game. Those 5 pillars together equals transformation. Now, in Ian's case, transformation is 28 pounds lighter, more productivity in less time, heading for semi-retirement. When he started the process, that wasn't even in his thinking. I'm about to ask you, Ian, about family life with your wife and children since you've been alcohol-free. But that community, those little video selfies, being on group calls, it's just so powerful. People always say to me, "Oh, I want to hire you one-on-one, James. Can you coach me one-on-one on how to quit drinking? I don't do groups. I'm scared of being in a crowd, or I'd rather do it one-on-one." And I charge $50,000 to do one-on-one coaching, and I discourage those who are willing to pay me $50,000 from doing the one-on-one coaching, because in my personal opinion and experience, and certainly what neuroscience proves, group coaching is so much more effective. Being in a community is so much more effective than any one-on-one mentoring that I could give you. Now, that's not, probably just cost myself a $50,000 client there, Ian. But but maybe you can speak to that, Ian. I mean, how important for you was the community aspect of it compared to maybe like when you may have tried previously to reduce or quit alcohol?
So important, James, on 2 counts. I the first time I realized that I should address the amount of alcohol that I was consuming was just before my 26th birthday. So I tried and failed to do it myself for 21 years. The reason why, and I'm sure you're worth every cent of the $50,000, but it would leave a gap, because you're not going to be available 24 hours a day. Well, sorry, maybe you are, but you're not going to be interacting with your client 24 hours a day. Whereas when there's a community, there is 24-hour support. Be it, sending a text, sending a text to somebody in the community jumping on to see what the most recent polos were, referring back to something that somebody said on a previous polo, and knowing that you're accountable not just to one person but to a whole community, and they're your friends and you're supporting them and they're supporting you. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I would say is that the type of community is very important, and it might be possible that the reason why somebody is reluctant to be part of a community and prefer the one-on-one is that they tried to do it in a community that wasn't with like-minded people. And again, that's one thing about this program that was such a treat to realize, was that the people in the community were very similar to me in the sense that like we weren't digging ourselves completely out of the gutter, and we hadn't found ourselves homeless or anything like that. And we all had jobs and we were all self-sufficient, and underneath everything, we all had a positive. We all brought a bit of positivity to the community. So it was a community of like-minded people, and we all supported each other, and like that's essential as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and the demographic you could relate to, right? You're 47, you're a married father of two. You met other. Well, let me just ask you, what was the demographics of other clients that you engaged with that made it so relatable?
Yeah, I think the ages range from mid-30s. I think one of the guys is in his mid-30s, right up to well, we didn't ask everyone their age, but I'm sure late 60s. Everybody was professional, had a career. Most people were family people. There was a lot of people, not necessarily my age, but a lot of people with young kids. And when I say young kids, I mean under the age 10. And very similar to myself, it was quite clear that the fact that they had the young kids was motivating them in this direction. We want to be there, more available for our kids. And I think that we all realize that getting up early in the morning to have a tea party is a lot more fulfilling and rewarding than waking up in the morning and trying to deal with a hangover.
Yeah.
Geographically, well, it was amazing. Like, you could be on a call with 6 people from the east side of America, the west coast of America, the east side of Australia, the west side of Australia, the UK, Canada. If you were on the call, you could be anywhere in the world. And it was great to have like-minded people from all over the globe. Like it truly was an international network of like-minded people.
Tell us a little bit about your home life, Ian. Tell us a bit about your wife and about your kids, and what shifted for you from going alcohol-free at home.
Yeah, so we live in we have a townhouse in Dublin, and I live here with my wife and my 2 kids, and my mother. My father passed away 2 years ago, so my mother lives with us in the basement of the house. Sorry, I'll just clarify that, because that drums up images of a dark, damp sort of basement environment. But it's like
I'm thinking of that terrible scene in that Quentin Tarantino movie Pulp Fiction. Bring out the gimp. Bring out the gimp. Yeah, no. Sorry to refer to your mother as a gimp, but yeah. Anyway, you didn't barricade her in the basement. We barricade her in the basement, and we turn on the lights for an hour a day. She's good. No, the house is sort of divided into 2, so that there is a self-contained 2-bedroom unit, which is on the ground floor of the house. So she lives down there. My brother is a social worker, so he potters around the country, and he could be here 3 or 4 days a week as well. He doesn't drink at all. And my wife, if my wife is going out on a binge, that would be 2 glasses of wine over the entire night.
Like that's excessive drinking for Grace, for my wife. So she's not accustomed to the type of drinking that I was doing. And I just to put it into perspective, like it wasn't falling in the door every night, furniture and all that type of thing. But like 2 bottles of wine, which would be sort of normal to me, was an obscene amount. And Grace just didn't like that. Even if I was able to handle it, she didn't like the thought of it. And she could probably see how it was affecting me physically and how it was pulling me back and slowing me down more so than I could. So she just didn't like it. And I know she's much happier in the environment now that I'm not doing that. I'm a lot happier to interact when my brother comes over now and I hear him downstairs. I'll give him a call and I'll go down and have a coffee with him. Whereas, I'd give him a wide berth if I had the bottle of wine open because he wasn't drinking and I was. So, I'd just sort of give him a wide berth. So the relationship there is a lot stronger. And as a result, I'm also spending more time with my mother. She's downstairs. So the 3 of us can hang out for an hour or 2. And the kids, this is really important. And I feel like I dodged a bullet here. On a Saturday, I'd bring out the kids, whether I felt like it or not. I'd take them out, and at lunchtime, we could often go to the gastro pub up the road, and they'd have their chicken wings or their pizza, and I'd have a beer, a second beer, and beginning to feel better. And we could stay there for a few hours. Now they enjoyed it. They enjoyed being with their dad. I suppose it was just about beginning to click with them, particularly the 6-year-old. That okay, there's this thing beer that my dad likes. There's this thing wine that my dad likes, and she was beginning to sort of be at the stage going, "Daddy, you drink a lot of beer. Why do you like wine so much?" So if I hadn't have taken action now to put that behind me, it would be getting to the stage where the kids would be growing up thinking, this is normal. Okay, this is what grown-ups do. And I'm glad that that's halted now. And I think I halted it just in time. Like 5 and 6-year-olds forget, which is great. So yeah, I think I hit the reset button just in time there. And I far more enjoy bringing the kids up to the park, particularly when the sun is shining, bringing the kids up to the park, getting the lunch al fresco, hopping on a bus, then going out to the seaside, giving them an ice cream, telling them not to tell their mum, and coming back then and go to the shops and get something for dinner and cook the dinner, and they hang out with me in the kitchen, and I'm enjoying it way more. They're enjoying it. Once they're out with their dad, it's they're enjoying it. We're engaging more. It's just much better. Like I said, I heard one of my kids up this morning, and about 6:15, and I went down, and I can't remember what we were talking about. It was it was about whether there should be chicken on a pizza or not. And like that got deep.
Deep conversations.
yeah. And then I was telling her, sometimes you get pineapple on your pizza. She looked at me and go, no. So there's all this fascinating stuff.
You mentioned before we hit record on this as well that people are noticing, or maybe you're noticing, that you're smiling a lot more these days. So I always talk about the 4 pillars: health, wealth, love, and happiness. So we've talked about your health, we've talked about wealth, talked about love with your family, and then just overall happiness. So how has your happiness shifted in these 90 days, and what's the proof of that?
The happiness has just shifted completely. Like when I'm talking to people, I'm sort of talking, laughing, smiling. You can probably see it here, James, on Zoom. Like I'm not forcing any of these smiles. I'm just in a much happier disposition. And how that, I suppose, the proof of that is when I'm out with my work colleagues, and when I'm having dinner and they're drinking their wine and they're laughing and they're chatting, as you do when you're drinking wine. I'm laughing and chatting and smiling and giggling along with them, and I'm not putting it on. It's absolutely natural. And I mentioned before, like I'm a bit of a dreamer, a bit of a future thinker, and when I'm thinking about the future, it's just everything's just rosier. It's brighter. I suppose to sum it up, when I am thinking about the present or the future, it's not what I have to do. I'm thinking about what I want to do, and that in itself is just a very positive shift.
Yeah, positive shift. That reminds me of my gratitude journal that I launched, Positive Shift Journal. I should just do a little plug here for it because you actually just said the words.
There you go. And that's because I just ordered it.
Oh, you did.
Yeah,
You bought one of my positive shift journals.
I ordered two of them.
Thank you, Ian.
One for me, and one for Grace, my wife, to fill out with the kids every day. So hey, might as well start them young.
I love it. Do you want to just tell our listener a little bit about what that is and what I had you do during Project 90 in terms of the daily 20 and gratitude and things like that?
Yeah. So one of the guiding practices on P90 is to start off your day with the top 20, which is just a list of the 20 things that one is grateful for. And to be honest, I did like a lot of times it repeated for me. You know, it could be grateful for the same thing on the second day as the first day, and there's no rules against that. But just getting it down on paper and rereading it kicks off the day on a positive note. And the more you do that, and it happens very quickly, James. Like after about a week, you do actually find that you're walking around during the day, spotting things that you're grateful for, or remembering things that you're grateful for, and saying, "Oh yeah, I'll remember that. I'll put that on the list tomorrow." And there's another one on there's oh yeah. And as you're spending your day walking around, just by default, looking out for things that you're grateful for, you just feel more grateful. You're just happier, and you see that there is so much out there in life staring you in the face that we take for granted, that we shouldn't take for granted, that we should take a step back and go, yeah, wow, yeah, that's cool that I have that, or yeah, it's great that I'm feeling that, or it's great that I did that. So the Gratitude 20 journal is a more structured form, I guess. I haven't received it yet, but from what I can see, it's a more structured form of keeping a record on that. And from the promo videos, it looks like it's really well laid out, and it looks like there's a couple of tips in there for enhancing that benefit that you get from keeping a list and from keeping a journal like that.
Yeah.
But I got to say, James, ever since I ordered it, there's been great interaction as well from you guys with little tips and getting nice little emails, and a nice little bit of engagement personal engagement from you guys that I wasn't expecting. So that's cool. Yeah, that's really nice.
I really got to so let me start again. I've really got to persuade the listener to believe that this is not an advertorial for anything, because a lot of the stuff we've been talking about here just seems too unbelievable, doesn't it? But there's
I confirm that I'm not receiving any gratitude for this.
Yeah. There's a link in the show notes in this episode description there to the Positive Shift Journal if you want to check that out. And there's also a link there to Project 90. And if you're not yet on my email list and you would like to be, and you'd like to get my words of wisdom, there's also a link there where you can get my Alcohol Freedom Formula guide, and they're in the show notes. Any final words, Ian, before we go? Was there, even though, I mean, this has sounded like almost too good to be true, but it is all true. Maybe we should balance it out a little bit. And what was challenging, or what didn't work out for you, or what is there? Where is there still work to be done? Just so this doesn't seem like a one big kind of love fest about the program and all of that.
Yeah, well, there is work to be done. Let's put it this way. I identified that alcohol was holding me back from my true potential 21 years ago, and hey, I was really great at giving up alcohol. I must have done it probably 100 times in the 21 years. So there's a lot of potential that hasn't been realized. So and 90 days is only about 1.5% of 21 years. So you can't expect to get everything back in the 90 days. You can certainly plant the seeds. You see the green shoots coming up, maybe a little bit more. But the next 90 days, hopefully I'll reclaim some of the 21 years and the 90 days after that and the 90 days after that. But the ultimate goal is to get back to my true potential. So it's a journey. The journey has started off well. Now it wasn't all roses and rainbows from day one. Like there was a couple of challenges, particularly at the start. The first couple of weeks was an emotional roller coaster. And now, I mean, I'm an accountant. I'm not supposed to have emotions, but Jesus, again, on week 3, I could be starting a conversation in great spirits, and 5 minutes later, just be feeling depressed for no reason. So, yeah, that had to be dealt with. There was also challenges like meeting the friends that, my drinking buddies for decades, meeting them the first couple of times, wondering, am I going to be able to stay out for the night? Do I want to stay out for the whole night? Yeah, so meeting the friends for the first time when I wasn't drinking was going to be challenging. When the hotels opened after the pandemic lockdown, there was celebrations all around. So that happened pretty much at the front end of the 90 days. So there was a little bit of a challenge there. And the sugar cravings as well. Like, Jesus, they were intense. And I tried to fight them off, but hey, you got to pick your battles. You can't do everything all at once. So I threw that to the wind, and I was a lot more relaxed when the drawer was full of chocolate, or when my belly was full of chocolate. But look, all of these challenges, they get easier and easier. And if I can throw out a just small piece of advice, something that worked for me along the way, is if you plot ahead, if you can see the challenges. So if you give up, if you stop drinking and you know that you're going to be going out with a group of boozy mates and they might be putting you under pressure or giving you a little bit of slagging, plan ahead for it. Identify, right, this is going to be a hurdle. Decide what you're going to say to them. Say it with confidence. And then the next day, when you wake up the next day, you're going to feel great because you're not hungover, because you got over that hurdle. But bring it one step further. Go out and go for a cup of coffee and have a slice of chocolate cake, or go and have a nice lunch for yourself. Reward yourself, because it'll make getting over the next hurdle easier. And it also helps to rewire those neural pathways. So don't be afraid to reward yourself.
Ian McSweeney, congratulations. Thank you for sharing your experience with our listeners, and onwards and upwards from here. Yes?
It was an absolute pleasure, James. And thank you so much for this program. It was great.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I want to load you up with some free stuff. If you look in the show description, there's a link there to get my guide, which is the Alcohol Freedom Formula Guide. And in that guide, I will walk you through the process and system for successfully reducing or quitting alcohol. It's the same system and process that I give to my clients inside of Project 90. And if you would like to get your hands on that guide, you can click the link in the description part of this episode, or you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. Likewise, if you would like to be considered for Project 90 to join our community and get some accountability, some coaching, and have fun, achieve some goals over at least 90 days with our help and support, then you're invited to schedule a complimentary coaching call with one of my coaches. You can do that by clicking the link in the show description or going to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. Now, Project 90 is for over 30s only, and it's really for people who are ready to get long-term power over alcohol. You don't have to quit forever, but you will have to quit for at least 90 days with our support. Just a reminder, 95% of my content is free and plastered all over the internet. If you just Google James Swanwick and the word alcohol, you'll find that. For those of you who want additional support, if you want coaching, fun, accountability, if you realize that you can't do this on your own or you just plain don't want to, then I invite you to schedule that call and we can talk about if Project 90 is for you. If you would like to take some of my supplements, swanvitality.com is the website. I'll put a link in the show notes as well. I have a liver support product called Loving Liver, which I designed and specially formulated to help remove toxins from your liver after years of alcohol consumption. Again, there's a link in the show description. We've also got a green powder there, which turns into a green juice filled with amazing ingredients to support you and give you energy throughout the day. And there's also a magnesium product, which I take every night to help me prepare for sleep and to sleep through the night. So there's a few options there. Lastly, if this episode or the show in general has helped you or supported you in any way, I would so appreciate it if you would write a review. It really does help the show climb the rankings and expose the show to people who don't yet know about us. So if this show has benefited you in any way and you feel compelled to pay it forward, just writing a short little review, hopefully a nice one, will be so appreciated and I will thank you immensely. Lastly, if you'd like to talk to me about anything at all, feel free to send me an email at james@alcoholfreelifestyle.com. I do read and respond to every email. And you can also follow me on Instagram at James Swanwick. Send me a message there. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. Catch you on the next one.